All right, 1 second. Let me just adjust my camera. Sorry about that. Hello there. My name is Quentin Russell, and I'm the content marketing specialist here at Doc365. And today I'm going to be talking to you. Oh, wow. I got the completely wrong PowerPoint. You'll have to excuse me. Oh, boy. Okay. Yeah, nope. We do use a standard template for our PowerPoint projections. So that's, sorry about that. Just forgot to change the title on that. So anyway, like I said, that snafu aside, today we are going to be talking about project sites in SharePoint Online. So what this is this is our SharePoint Basics series. This is part of our monthly series where we go through different SharePoint concepts and we kind of explore them, explain them, show you that SharePoint doesn't have to be as difficult as a lot of using SharePoint seems to be. Like I said, we host this about once a month. We used to do this about every other week. However, we have shifted the schedule. So we will be doing this on the second Tuesday of every month. So what that means is that we'll be doing that at the same time, so 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And again, if you are unable to attend the live recording, we will be sending you the recording of the event after the fact. So again, for those of you who are joining late, my name is Quentin Russell. I'm the content marketing specialist here at Doc365. So that said, let's take a look at what we're going to be talking about today. So really quick, we're going to be talking about who we are, just a quick introduction, what we do, that way you can get to know us better. After that, we'll go into what project sites are. So we'll talk about what they are, what they're used for. After that, we'll go into a live SharePoint environment where I will show you how to build a project site, how to make various customizations, and how to navigate it, and really set it up so that it fits you. After that, we'll be talking about tips for creating effective project sites. So both for the actual generation of them, so strategies you can use for that, but also strategies you can use to effectively use them for project management. After that, we'll be doing a quick question and answer session at the end of the webinar. With that, the way we want to structure that is that throughout the webinar, if you have any questions, feel free to type them out in the chat. With that, we will then, at the end of the webinar, answer those questions chronologically. And if there's anything I can't answer during the webinar, I will send out the question alongside the answer, with the webinar recording at the end of the day. So with that, everything said, who we are. So we're Doc365. We're a company located in Jacksonville, Florida. We have over 17 years of experience working with SharePoint to deliver exceptional productivity solutions. We work with a wide range of companies in a variety of different industries to implement a diverse array of SharePoint productivity tools. So these include contract management systems, intranet portals, CRM solutions, and more. If you'd like to check that out, you can head over to our website, mydoc365.com. We've recently redesigned certain portions of our website, so feel free to check out our whole new homepage that we feel is a lot more attractive and informative. So also, if you would like to tour any of the solutions that we talked about today, just in that quick couple seconds, feel free to sign up for a free demo. It's just 30 to 45 minutes. We'll be going over anything that you want to know about that solution and how it can help your organization flourish and reshape the way you work. So what you're here to talk about today, which is project sites in SharePoint Online. So basically, a project site is a type of subsite that provides a dedicated space for teams to work on and manage projects. They function very similarly to team sites, but they come pre-built with several web parts and functions that team sites don't have natively. So if you'd like to turn a team site into a project site, you can. It would just take several extra steps. So by default, what you get with a project site is you get the project summary web part, you get the project functionality site feature, you get the task list, you get a pre-built-in site calendar, and then you get a OneNote notebook that is built out in your organization's Office 365 environment specifically for that project subsite. So specifically talking about the task and project summary, if you're not sure what that is. So this is basically the main draw of building a project site. So users can add and edit tasks along with their due dates. And then from there, SharePoint will display the task on a timeline using a visual reminder. So essentially it kind of functions like a Gantt chart, but it's not fully a Gantt chart. Generally, it'll be whatever tasks are assigned to you. And who can view what and where is based off of your permissions within SharePoint. We won't really be covering how to set that up, mostly because we have a webinar that we've done previously on updating user permissions in SharePoint, so feel free to check that out. If you go to our website, you can find a list of all of our webinars that you can access for free, including all of the previous editions of the SharePoint Basics series. But essentially, one thing to note is that functionally, there is no real difference between a team site and a project site. Basically, it's whatever is turned on by default is the major difference. You can turn any team site that you have into a project site just by activating the project functionality and site notebook features in the site features area of your team site. However, you will also need to add the project summary web part to the main page if you want to have the exact same functionality. So yeah, there is literally not all that much that you need to know about actual project sites themselves. However, actually using them, getting into them is a different story. So really quick, while we're here, let's go and jump into a whole new SharePoint environment real quick. So let's go to, we'll just jump into our SharePoint Global Infonet environment. So this is our gems. So really quick, while that's still loading, I'm just going to jump into SharePoint itself. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start from a whole new site. So really quick, let's go through the actual site creation process. So really quick, we're going to go create a new team site. We'll call this webinar 030921 because that's what it's meant for. From here, well, we're not going to add any additional owners, adding in any additional members. So currently it is still creating the site. So when it finishes up, we'll go into that. So 1 second. Let me just get everything set up. Yep, give it a second. Let's sign in through that real quick. I apologize for this. I did not expect it to ask me for my password right now. But that's fine. We live and learn and we adapt. Yes, I would like to stay signed in. So webinar 030921. This is our main page. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go into our site contents. So that'll take us to this page right here. Then what we're going to do is we're going to click new subsite. From here, once it loads in, it should take us to a screen that goes through the actual subsite creation process. Subsites are functionally the same thing as a regular team site. However, they do, they can have certain restrictions and they just have different things by default. And they're essentially nested. So if you look here at the URL, because essentially SharePoint is just a bunch of websites. Oop, I apologize for that. It seems that my screen was not sharing. All right, can you guys see this right now? Perfect. Okay, so let's go back to that real quick. So what you'll want to do is you'll want to go to, since we're already on the page, but you want to click here you'll click on the gear icon up here, go to site contents. From here, you'll see this right here. So you'll be able to see the entire contents of your subsite, of the team site right here. And then you can see if there are any associated subsites. what you want to do is click up here to go to new, and then you'll click new subsite. This will take you to the subsite creation page. And again, like I said, basically it is functionally a SharePoint site, just like any other. If you were to create a new team site, a new communication site, it would be functionally the same. It's just the difference is the URL right here. Because SharePoint Online is just functionally a website that only users within your Active Directory, users with permissions delegated by your Active Directory can access. It's essentially the same as if you went to insert company name right here, like mydoc365.com, and then slash whatever the product page is, whatever the blog is, whatever that is. It's the same thing here. So it's essentially whatever the top site is, slash, you know, whatever you're going to name the subsite. Today, we're just going to name this project site. And then we could add a description, which is, you know, a project site created for a webinar. We'll call, and then you can also change what you want to call the address. So we'll just call this project site. And then you can select a language, and then you select one of the templates that you want to use. So you can either have a team site without a Microsoft 365 group or with the classic experience. Generally, don't go with classic experience. In this case, if you're trying to build project sites, just click project site. And then you can also set up unique permissions for the project site, which I think is a major draw of using using project sites. So you can either have the project site inherit the same permissions as the team site that you're building it from, or you can use a set of unique permissions. And so you can go and set those up later. But essentially what that means is that so say you're using a team site as the main portal for a department in your organization. You could then set up a series of project sites for different teams, different people working on different projects, basically different things like that. And you can then make it so that it's only visible to certain people, in certain groups. So you could set up a user group that is, okay, we're marketing team 1, we're marketing team 2, and say they're working on a project. And then you say, okay, well, only people in marketing team 1 can access this, and then anyone who is a manager in the organization. So you can then set that permission up on that project site and make it so that only those people are able to see that. You can also use navigation, so you can make it so that that it is able to show up on the quick launch bar on the parent site. So you can either turn that on or off, again, for privacy reasons. So if you're using it for a specific one-off project, or if you're working it for a group to work in, that's a decision that you really need to make. And again, it's the same thing. Do you want to display the link on the top link bar of the parent site? And then you can also set up navigation inheritance. So you can have it so that do you want it to inherit the top link bar up here from the parent site? Yes or no. Generally, that's up to your discretion. Depends on how you're planning on using it. So let's go ahead and create that team site. Well, not team site, project site, but functionally they're identical. It's just the default web parts, like I said. So let it load, let it load. Shouldn't take too long. So from here, you can then set up different groups for the site because I selected use custom permissions. So you could have, use an existing group from within the organization. So click out to that. So you can say, okay, we want to have this, this, or this. So basically this will pull from the parent site, or you can just create a new group. And again, different members of the site. Do you want to set up wholly new, or do you want to pull from an existing group? Generally, if you've set up your SharePoint and if you've set up your users within your Active Directory adequately, you just generally want to use the existing group. And again, do you want to have new owners or use an existing group? We'll go with use an existing group, Move on with that. Ooh. Yep, just click through. Okay. And now we head over to the actual project site itself. So this is what you see by default on a project site. So this right here is the project summary web part. This pulls information from So yeah, you can pull information from the, so with the project summary, you can pull, so this pulls everything on here pulls from your tasks list. So let's head over there real quick. So basically, this is the main draw. This is added by default to any project site that you create. So let's say you want to create a task. We'll call this call Brian. We'll set the due date to say, pull that up. We'll have the due date be tomorrow, and we'll assign that to me because I am the only person on this site. So once I do that, it should see it right there. It will pull up on the actual timeline itself. Generally, the timeline goes within a certain period of time. However, if you come up in here to the timeline, you can set up a different time scale. So you can hide the time scale for one, but you can also set the date range format. So if you want to, so say you are working on a project in a specific time. So say you're starting in like the month of January and then you're ending by February, or in this case, you know, starting in March and ending in March. So first day here, and then date range is right here. So now everything on here is displayed within that time scale. So if you were to create a task for someone to, you know, complete phase 2, and you wanted to have that done by the 24th, we'll again assign that to Quentin Russell. Give it time to load. Let's come back in. Or head over to the home page to show you guys how everything carries over from here onto the project summary web part. So yeah, you'll see that right there. For some reason, it is not loading. Give me a second to troubleshoot that. 1 second. Yeah, add to timeline. So yeah, right there, you can just say, hey, do you want to have it on the timeline? Do you want to remove it from the timeline? And then you can also create subtasks. So if someone needs to do something predicated on that, you know, build proposal, have that done by, say, the 16th. Again, Quentin Russell. If I knew how to spell my own name, that'd be amazing. And then you can, again, choose to add that to the timeline or remove it from the timeline. So in this case, we do want to have it on the timeline. And then if you want to say that task is completed, click it right there. And then it should, because it was still on the timeline, it's not going to be removed. But once you've completed it, you can then just remove it from the timeline. So that's pretty simple. Everything, again, then shows up on the project summary web part on the home page. Throat's dry. But then there are some other things that you can do with the site. Sharing the site's pretty easy. It's the same way that you do it with any other SharePoint site. You just click the people in your organization that you want, include an invitation that you want to send it to. You can also see all of the people that it's been shared with, so the individual users and the groups. If you'd like to modify the website, the project site's pretty simple. Unlike with team sites and everything, it's a bit more difficult to change a lot of the colors and theming. So you can change the logo. So pull that from the computer, and that's what shows up right there. So we'll just choose a random file from my computer. Let's have that load up. We'll just use a free pixels image because if, you know, royalty free and all that. So let that load in, shouldn't take long. So that's now the title. And then you can also see the description. You can also enter the description for everything, modify any information, the basic information about the project site that you want. Let's load this in real quick. However, you can also change the overall colors and style. Again, however, it is a bit more limited than with subsites than it is for overall sites. Unless you're willing to do some custom coding, make some CSS changes. Generally, you just get to choose from one of these themes. So we'll go with orange because, you know, orange is a fun color, totally not garish at all. So you can try it out. You can change the colors, you can change the font, but ultimately it's kind of going based off of the default site themes within that SharePoint offers you. So yeah, you can choose that. Yes, keep it. No, not quite there. We're not really going to mess with that. That'll take a bit of time to convert over. So let's head back out into the project site itself. There, you can also add other apps to your website. So what you'll see right here is generally when you build out a project site, you will see how to get started with your site. So adding, so you can add new lists, new libraries, since this is already built in, but you could also add anything any pre-approved SharePoint and Office 365 apps that you can add anywhere else in your tenant, you can also add here. So if you wanted to, you could add stuff like if your company has Adobe Sign or DocuSign, you can add those right here. You can add issue tracking, contacts, wiki page library, pictures, discussion board, any apps that your organization already has. Basically just come here, you can add those. Going back out. You can also, so going into your document library, if you have any document library flows that you want to add, it's pretty much the same as adding it to any of the team sites in your organization. So go here, so go into the document library, click up here with automate. It should take you to Power Automate, so you can configure any flows that you have existing, see what flows you have in your organization. Give that time to load. And also, if you want a more in-depth look at how to build workflows in SharePoint Online, we do have a full webinar that we've done on that. If you see right here, vacation requests, we built that out for a SharePoint workflow webinar that we did. So feel free to check that out. Again, it is free on our website, but you can essentially just see all the flows that you have, work through that, make sure that you have everything's working the way it is, and everything is how it's supposed to be. Coming up here into site settings. So 1 second. Not library. Oh, because we are in the document library, it is still asking us to view those settings. So let's head back out into the actual project site itself, and then it should offer us the ability to check out site settings. Yep, so let's go here to site settings. So basically, you can make any of the other changes that you would really want to make. So do you want to have, site permissions, site columns, how everything's administered, how search works in your organization? So what is available, what's not, how things are searched, how things are added. And again, basically just generic SharePoint site modification and editing abilities. You can also edit how you want people to navigate the site. Again, pretty simple. You can just add links to various sites within right here. Because again, it is basically just a website that you're customizing. So if you have a link out to an external resource that you're using for the project, if you have a link out to an external tool that you're using, you can add it right here. So if you wanted to go out to YouTube for different FAQs or anything, that's how you do that. So that's basically all a project site is in SharePoint Online. So now that I've kind of shown you how to do that, here are some tips that you can use to create really effective project sites in SharePoint Online. So generally these 5 are not only just how, SharePoint usage, but also can help you improve your overall project management as an organization. So starting out, you definitely want to create a plan/template. You want to plan out task creation and delegation, basically building out a process for that. You want to archive your project sites once you're done using them. You want to solicit feedback from users, and you want to analyze site performance and usage. So let's kind of go over that. So building a plan/template, basically project sites can be very effective for segmenting out individual projects or working as a team long-term, but you need to have a plan/a structure for using them. Generally, you want to have some document in your organization, whether it's a governance document or just a general, usage document. That says this is how project sites are supposed to be built out. Here's the steps you're supposed to follow when building it out. So you need to add this link, this link, this link, or just copy over from this template site. because you need to have that standardized. So as people are moving from project to project, they can reliably navigate everything and say, okay, so I know this is going to be here. I know this is going to be here. So basically here is the, so in this document library, I know for a fact we're going to have the project kickoff document. We're going to have the risk management document. We're going to have all of the preparation documents, the outline, the calendar, how things are going to progress from here. So you need to make sure that's built out, and you also need to build out how people are going to use it. So what documents can they upload? How do they upload them? When do they upload them? What's supposed to be in there? Moving on from that, you need to plan out task creation and delegation. You need to set up permissions, who and what can create tasks, how they're assigned out, who is supposed to do what. Generally, that's basic project assignation, but SharePoint essentially provides you a tool that allows you to map all of that out and automates a lot of that. So it'll notify people when they're supposed to be doing stuff. You can set up automated notifications in there to say, okay, this is where this is supposed to go. This is who's supposed to do it. I want them to be notified 2 weeks before. You also need to make sure that everyone is managing their tasks within the project site. So if they've been assigned something, once they've completed it, they need to notate on it and then cross it off and say, okay, yes, I've done this, so that everything can work smoothly. Next up, you need to archive your project sites. So once you're done using a project site for a project, close it out, archive it, don't let anyone else access it, label it as complete, label it however you need to label it, but make sure that everything in there, all of the work and communication is retained in there. This way you can access it at a later date for compliance reasons. So if something went wrong, or if you've been accused of wrongdoing, you can look back and say, okay, no, we did everything we were supposed to do. Because here's a fun secret, SharePoint sites actually retain all of the updates and changes that people make. It's time dated, stamped and everything. So you can just go back, check that, access that, and find everything you're looking for. But essentially just make sure you're archiving your project sites, labeling them as complete, and making sure they can be searched, but not modified or edited after the completion date. The next thing you want to do is solicit feedback. So basically you need to routinely be asking the users in your organizations how they're using their project sites, how they're working with them, are they doing what they're supposed to be doing? Ask them if the structure of everything's working out for them. Are they actually adopting it? Because SharePoint is a pretty hefty investment for some organizations. And so you need to make sure that everyone's actually using the tool that you're paying for. But also you want to make sure to gather this, use something like Microsoft Forms to build that out and send that out to everyone in your organization to gather data that you can use to adjust how you're building and maintaining your SharePoint environment, but also your project sites, so no one's wasting time and you're not struggling with a tool that you're not really capable or investing time in using. And then the last thing that you really want to do is you want to analyze site performance and usage. This goes back to archiving the document or archiving the project site. So once you've closed out a project site, once you've gathered feedback, it's important to analyze the data you've gathered, figure out what worked, figure out what didn't, figure out how people actually used the tools. What was the actual, did everything go smoothly? Were there any hiccups? Were there any changes made? Basically just do a full audit of the project site as part of the actual project breakdown at the end. Basically, this can help you get more out of your SharePoint investment because you're actually using the data gathering capabilities of SharePoint to interface with your organization, figure out what's going on. And then you can also just refine the way your organization approaches projects. So with that said, let's go through some of the questions. So so you can't have more than one owner, but can you nominate a group? So actually you can have more than one owner of a SharePoint site. Well, sort of. So you can have, you can have multiple owners of a SharePoint site. And then you can also have, basically you can go into your user and group permissions to set up a basically admin supergroup who has the same level of control as an owner. And so basically you can nominate that group in that position. I hope that was helpful in some way. Does anyone else have any questions? If not, then we do have several upcoming webinars. So next week we will be on March 16th. All of these are 11 a.m. by the way. We'll be talking about how to avoid common vendor management problems. After that, on March 23rd, we'll talk about how artificial intelligence is set to revolutionize modern contract lifecycle management. A lot of companies are starting to add AI to their tools. We're definitely one of them. We're working on implementing artificial intelligence into our contract management system. So be on the lookout for that. But then on March 30th, we'll be talking about important employee data you should be tracking. So internal metrics and KPIs that you can use to track performance and ensure that everyone's getting the job done. And you're able to adequately reward people in your organization who are stepping up and stepping out. And then finally, on April 6th, we'll be talking about why vendor compliance is necessary for business success. And as part of that, we'll be talking about tools that you can use, strategies, resources, and just tips you can use to really maintain vendor compliance. So with that said, if you... and for those who are asking with the Power Automate webinar, I will send a link out to the Power Automate webinar page. So to talk about different workflows and how to build that out. So with that said, if you want to contact us, our phone number is 904-309-9970. You can reach us at info@mydoc365.com or qrussell@mydoc365.com if you have any questions for me. If you'd like to tour any of the products I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, or you're interested in Doc365 as a whole, feel free to reach out to us for a free demo. They're about 30-45 minutes, no obligation, completely free. We'd love to explore how any of our solutions could really benefit you and help you out and really reshape the way you do work and get the most out of your SharePoint investment, because all of our productivity solutions are built using SharePoint environments. So we build it on your tenant. So again, if you have any questions about that, reach out to us, sign up for a free demo, and make sure to follow us on LinkedIn at doc365.com. So again, this has been Quentin Russell with Doc365. This has been the SharePoint Basics series, how to maintain project sites. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thank you very much, and goodbye.